Welcome to iClicker. In this training, we'll provide a complete overview of iClicker Cloud version 7.0 with all the information you'll need to use iClicker Cloud successfully in the classroom. Today, we'll be looking at an overview of iClicker, iClicker Cloud instructor requirements, student response options, using iClicker Cloud before, during, and after class, grading and LMS options, and support options for instructors and students. What makes iClicker Cloud so powerful is that it can be set up quickly and easily. With iClicker, there's no need to feed questions and answers into a separate system. Instead, iClicker floats on top of whatever presentation tools you're already using. The system allows you to engage students synchronously or asynchronously, in person or online, and students can use their iClicker student app through either the iOS or Google Play stores, or on any web browser by going to iClicker.com. You can set a geofence around your class to ensure that students are showing up to class to participate, and you can instantly collect feedback, where students can create study guides in their student profile. You can easily download grades or sync them with your LMS. From the instructor side, what you'll need is a free instructor account, the iClicker Cloud desktop software, and a strong internet connection. Hardwired internet connection is recommended, but Wi-Fi will work. Optionally, you can have the iClicker Cloud mobile app for instructors to use as a remote with your software open. This allows you to start and stop polls and advance slides. If you have an iClicker base, you can use that to still allow students to participate via physical remotes. And if you do have that base, you can still use those blue iClicker remotes as an instructor to start and stop polls and advance slides. All students need to have an iClicker account by going to iClicker.com and signing up. They will also need to have a subscription to be sure that they are able to participate. As far as participation devices, this will work from smartphones, laptops, or tablets with either the app or going to the website. They need to make sure, if they're using one of these apps, to be sure they are connected to a strong Wi-Fi. And as mentioned before, if you have the iClicker base, you can still allow students to participate with physical remotes. For pricing options, students can purchase through the app or on the website for $16.99 for 6 months. This includes all courses that use iClicker during that time span. This can also be bundled for $5 with many of our Macmillan products and is included with many of our Achieve, College Success Texts, or Developmental English Text options. Students also receive a 5-year subscription with any brand new iClicker purchase. Lastly, we have departmental or institutional adoption site licenses with prices varying. Speak to your administrator about these options and if they may be available to you. iClicker works with most major LMS platforms. You can manually download from iClicker and upload your scores to your LMS. At some institutions, we have simple LTI available for Blackboard, Brightspace, Canvas, Moodle, and Sakai. And we have our roster grade sync available on many campuses as well, where you can sync your roster and your grades to Canvas, Blackboard, or Brightspace. And you can send those grades over as one single column or separate columns to your LMS, as well as syncing with your roster. When it comes to setting things up for your iClicker account, everything you do before and after class will take place at the iClicker.com website, with everything during class taking place on the software. At iClicker.com, if you want to download the software, you can go right here to Getting Started and download Instructor software. If you're using a Mac, we have this option available to you here, and we have a Windows version available as well. If you're downloading this onto your own computer, please be sure to use the standalone version, as the MSI version is for administrators to add to campus-wide computers. When you're ready to create your account, you can go to Create Account and Instructor, fill out your institution, and choose your primary role. From here, it will ask you for a bit of information to get your account set up. As you see, it'll only ask for your discipline, first name, last name, instructor email, and a password. If you have the blue physical remote, you can enter the ID here to be able to use that in class. Lastly, you'll agree to the privacy notice and terms of use and create your account. Once you've created your account, you can then sign in as an instructor, while noting you can also sign in as a student with the same credentials to test things out and see what they see. When you go to sign in, you can enter the same information you created your account with, or if you're using our single sign-in option, you can sign in through your campus portal at the bottom here. When you sign in, your courses will load if you have any, but for the first class, you'll need to go to Create New Course. You'll see the full course option here that'll allow you to run polls, quizzes, assignments, and attendance. We also have our attendance only option free for students at universities that do not have our site license. The information that it asks for is your institution, which should pre-populate for you based on the information you provided during your account creation. Your course discipline, we have a pretty long list that you can find here, and if you see nothing that works for you, you can also go to Other. You'll find your course name here, where you'll type it in based off of whatever you have inside of your LMS or your syllabus. You'll have your start date and end date. The start date is typically going to be whenever you create the course, and the end date will be 6 months later. The end date will tell the system when to archive your course, meaning you can still go back and view the information. Students can still go back and view their information for the course, but students next semester won't find any old courses to accidentally add, and you won't accidentally start any old sessions. In terms of getting students enrolled into your course, we have a few options. If you're using our roster grade sync, the system, when you sync your roster, will pull over from your LMS your current roster. It will also keep that roster updated. When you sync that roster, any students who already have an iClicker account will see your course show up in their course list. We also have the ability for students to go in and search for your course and add it manually by searching either for your name or your course name. And we also provide a join code or QR code that you can share with your students to get connected as well. If you'd like to ensure that students only show up when they're invited, you can choose this invite only section here. Using this option means that students can get in through that roster grade sync if it's available, or with that QR code or join link. Your course ID and your term are optional. However, that will help with record keeping. We also allow for you to input your meeting times, so you can say the day and the time that you want to enter, and that will help make sure students know that they are in the correct course. If you decide to use our attendance-only courses, by setting your meeting times here, you can also run auto-run attendance. Auto-run attendance allows you to have the attendance run without having to open up the software on your end, but students will still be able to go and check in at the designated time. Once you have your course created, you can come right here to the course that you just created, click on that, and see that you do not have any current information. However, if you go to our settings section, you'll be able to see any of the information that you just input and change that if needed. Here's where you'll see your join link or your QR code that you can share with students. Under devices, you can find a few options available to you. The first option is to use mobile devices and iClicker remotes at the same time. If you choose to allow this option and you have those physical remotes, you need to make sure that you set the frequency at the bottom and let students know which frequency you're going to be using. You also have the option to limit this to mobile devices only or remotes only. Our student focus mode option is available, and this will give you a report at the end of class, letting you know how long each student was in focus, out of focus, and how many times they left the app. It will not give you any private information from the student or let you know where they went to when they left the app, simply if they left the app. Going to sleep does not count as out of focus for their phones. Attendance data is kept inside of iClicker. While this does not transfer over to any of the LMS options, it will keep the records for you inside of iClicker. Because that data does not transfer over to the LMS, you can alert yourself once a student has gone above a certain threshold of unexcused absences. By doing this in the attendance section, You will see students who have gone over that threshold highlighted in red. If you are using our attendance only feature, you can use the auto run as I mentioned earlier right here, and you can choose how long you want that session to run. So you can run it for the first 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes, or the entire class. If you'd like to set the geofence around your class to ensure that students are showing up, you can choose our location option here to require and set location for attendance. As you see at the bottom, we use Google Maps, so you can search for a location in the search bar here if you don't have location services turned on your device. Once you've entered that, you can zoom in and see the radius around your course, and you can move that radius anywhere from 100 feet to 500 feet, with 150 feet being the minimum suggested when available. If you need to move this around to make sure that your building is completely uncovered, you can go right here and move that to wherever makes the most sense for you. Be aware that students must check in with attendance before they can participate in polling. If they do not check in for attendance, they are also unable to participate in the questions that you present that day. The next tab that we will view is our polling section. By default, the iClicker system will ask you at the start of each session during your first question which screen you'd like to share with students. With this option, and you choosing your screen that you'd like to share with them, you'll be able to keep your toolbar on any screen on your computer that you'd like and still capture the image you'd like to capture. We do have the second option available, where you can move your toolbar back and forth as you see fit whenever you're ready to start the question. We also, by default, will show you a thumbnail of the image that you captured every time you start a question. You can turn that option off if you'd like. As far as sharing your screen with students, again, by default, iClicker will share that question out with students as soon as the question starts. If you choose not to share screenshots with students during the question, you can choose this middle option. This option will allow the question to go out without a screenshot, and then once the question is over, the students will receive that screenshot. This helps as another layer of ensuring that students are in class to participate, as well as saving on bandwidth in classrooms where you might have some less than ideal Wi-Fi. And lastly, if you want students to not see that screenshot at all, you can turn on this third option here. Again, by default, the system will send out results to students at the end of class. It doesn't give individual student responses to any other student, but it will let them know how they compare to the rest of the class when it comes to correct answers. You can also give points for participation or performance. Participation is all or nothing. Students must reach this threshold before they can receive this point. You can adjust this threshold from all the way up to 100% of questions answered to receive the point, or at least one question. You can adjust this point value as much as you'd like as well. If you choose to turn this option off, all you need to do is set this value to be worth 0. For performance points, students get 1 point for a correct response by default. Again, this option can be changed, and you can also add points for responding. In this scenario, a student would receive 1 point for just responding to the question and 1 point for a correct response. With this option, every day's value could be a different one. So if you'd like to make sure that iClicker is worth the same value every day, you can choose our score total polling session option here. This makes sure that the student gets the same number of points each day, so they don't miss out on extra points by missing on specific days. This does work as a percentage-based question, meaning if you ask 1 during the day and the student gets it correct, they get 5 points. If you ask 10 questions during that day and they get 9 of them right, they would get 4.5 points. Scoring the total polling session does only give points for correct responses. Just like with participation points, if you do not want to use any of these points for performance, you can set the value to be worth 0. One thing to keep in mind is that participation points and performance points do get added together at the end. So if you set this value to be worth 5 or any other value, just be sure to note that this point will be added as well if it's turned on. So in this scenario with 5 points, If you had 1 point for participation, the entire session would be worth 6 points. Today's session will be focusing primarily on the most basic use of iClicker, which is our polling. We do have a quizzing feature available, which is similar to our self-paced polling that you may have seen in iClicker Classic, but it allows you to hand students a certain number of questions all at once that they'll answer at their own pace and submit when they're ready. For more information on that, please see our advanced training deck. When you click the Integrations tab, you'll have an idea of what your campus has set up. I currently have the iClicker Cloud RGS setting, Roster Grade Sync. If I click on Connect to Canvas, which is what I have, and go to Canvas, I can sign in with my Canvas credentials, and I'll click Authorize. From here, you'll see a list of all of your courses that are available. So we'll go ahead and select the course that we want and click Next. And if you have multiple sections here, just note that if they all meet at the same time, you can go ahead and select all the sections that you may have. And if they meet at different times, you'll need to make sure that you have an iClicker course for each one of those sections and only connect the section that meets at that time. Once you connect, you can go ahead and sync your roster if you'd like. And you should see that you have a successful sync. If there are students with any issues, it will present those students to you, and you'll be able to send an email from iClicker telling them what they need to do to fix their information. Again, remember, this is for the roster grade sync. Your situation on your campus may be a bit different. If you use roster grade sync, you have two different options as far as sending grades over. You can send one single column that will update throughout the semester, or you can send separate columns where each iClicker score is sent over as its own grade in your LMS. You can also choose how grades go over with the following. Total points, meaning participation and performance, do get added together as mentioned earlier in one column. You can send performance points only, participation only, or you can send both as a separate column, meaning you get a performance points column and a participation points column in your LMS. Once we're done, we can go ahead and click Save, and we're ready to start class. Optionally, here in the People tab, if you look under Instructors, you can add a TA or a co-instructor with the button here. You'll enter their email, their name, and their role. Please be sure to have whoever you may be adding create their iClicker account before you send them this information. The only difference between instructor and teaching assistant is that an instructor's name will show up next to yours as a co-instructor on the student's iClicker page, where a TA won't. Outside of that, they will have all the same options that you do. They can sync grades, they can add scores, and they can run the entire session if you'd like. From this People tab, you can also sync your roster at any time if you have the roster grade sync available. Once you're ready to begin class, you will open up the iClicker Cloud software. If you're on a classroom computer where iClicker Cloud is installed, you'll look for this icon that you see here. When it comes to running polling, you'll open up your iClicker Cloud software, and the suggestion would be to do this at the very beginning of class as students are coming in. Just as with the website, if you're signing in through a single sign-on, you'll look through this campus portal and sign in at the bottom. Once you've signed in, you'll see a list of all of your courses available to you. If you look to the left side of that pop-up, you'll see that here's where the join code is. So if you'd like to bring that up during class so students can see it as they're walking in, you can have this presented on the front of the class screen. Once you're ready to go ahead and begin class, you simply click on Start Class. Once you've clicked that button, you'll see our toolbar pop up at the top of your screen. The toolbar will stay wherever you put it, and if you need to minimize it to keep it out of your way, if you click the blue icon, you can minimize that screen down, and when you're ready for the toolbar to pop back up, you just click on the same blue icon. If you look under the roster tab, you'll be able to see how many people are absent, how many people are present, and if you'd like to see a detailed view of this, you can click on the Details button. To get back to that main view of the toolbar, you click this back arrow, and you can go into your polling. As you see from the student side, which is what I'm showing right here, if students wait a few seconds after clicking on your course, they'll see a button that pops up and says Join. If they are not in range and you're using our geolocation feature, they will not be allowed to check in. As you see when I click around, the toolbar stays on top of everything on our screen. So as you click around through your slides, just know that it will stay there and be ready for you to ask your first question. When you are ready for your first question, you can click on the Poll button and see our drop-down menu of question types. We have multiple choice, short answer, formula symbol, numeric, target, and multiple answer questions. On the first question of each day, it will ask you which screen you would like to share with students. We'll go ahead and select the screen that has our questions on it and click Select. At that time, you'll see that a timer starts running up. There is a countdown timer as well, where the question will stop automatically for you. Just be aware that once a question has ended, there's not a way to reopen that question. Once this timer is running, the students can go in and see your screenshots if you decide to share them with them, and they can answer their questions down here at the bottom. Answer choices for multiple choice will always be A through E. Once a student answers, they want to look for this answer received notification, and that lets them know that you have received their answer. Once we've received all the responses that we need, we'll go ahead and click Stop. And if you'd like to view results from your toolbar, you can click the Results button here at the top. If you'd like to grade questions during class, so you don't have to go after class and grade these, you can select any correct answer by hovering over whichever ones you'd like to select and clicking that. For multiple choice, you can make as many of these correct as you'd like. One other thing to point out is that you can look over here where it says More on the toolbar, and if you scroll down, you'll see a button that says Confidence. If you turn that on, you'll be able to ask the same question as normal, but as students, once they answer this, they'll be asked, how confident are you in your answer? And they can choose from here. Once we've received all the responses that we are expecting, we can stop the question, look at results, and grade just as we did before. If you have confidence turned on, you can look for the button that says Details and expand this out to be able to see how confident all of your students were in their answers. If you click on questions again, we get back to our graph, and we can minimize that back down and click on results. Confidence does not turn on or off automatically, so if you are ready for that to no longer be available, you can click back on More and turn confidence back off. Our next question type is short answer. Students have the option here to type in with 140 characters, so this can be fairly open-ended. When you view results for short answer questions, it will give you each possible answer that a student has typed in and group together answers that are spelled and punctuated the same way. You can select as many of these to be correct as you'd like. And if no student gives you the exact answer that you'd like, you can click on the Add Correct Answer button and type in your own answer. To choose the best answer, or the one that you find to be the most correct, you can use the star button next to any of the questions, or excuse me, next to any of the answers that you'd like to use. By choosing that, the student will see if they got it correct or incorrect, as well as what the best answer would have been. Also available in short answer questions is our word cloud. This works like any word cloud where any word that is used more frequently will be larger than the others. And this has been a nice tool that students and instructors have all enjoyed. Our next question type is numeric. Numeric is very similar to short answer in that students do get the same text box to be able to type their answers in. However, unlike short answer, they only have 8 characters to use, and it must be one of these characters that you see here at the bottom. When we stop our question, we can look at results. And just like with short answer, we can see any possible answer given and add our own correct answer. Our next answer type is going to be our formula and symbol question. This question allows students to type answers in the text box, just like with short answer and numeric questions. However, they also receive the option to use symbols. We have equation symbols and Greek letters that they can use, as well as going to things like the different powers of numbers. When viewing the results, this is going to be very similar to the short answer and short answer and numeric questions. And you'll see each possible answer listed out here. Our last question type is going to be our target questions. With target questions, even if you have screenshots turned off to your students, they will still receive a screenshot during the question because they'll need that to answer. To answer, students just choose somewhere on the screen to be correct and drop a pin. To mark correct answers in results, you'll click on the image. You can expand this out and then click and drag the area that you mark correct. Now anything inside of that box will be counted as correct. We do have a multiple answer question now available. And with multiple answer questions, students can choose more than one answer to be correct. To receive full credit for this, students must match the answers that you mark as correct. There is no partial credit, so they must meet exactly the answers that you submit. For all of our answer options, we also have our anonymous polling. With anonymous polling, you can click on More and choose Anonymous. And just like with confidence, this does not turn on or off automatically. So to use that, please be sure to turn that on. And when you're done with your question, please turn that back off to go back to our normal polling. When I start this question, students will see that it is anonymous on their screen. And when they click on their answers, it does not stay highlighted like normal, so the student next to them cannot look over and see what their answer was. When we stop this question and look at results, no correct answer can be chosen. It truly is anonymous, and you will never know how students responded. When you're ready to end class, please look for this arrow beside the start button, and you can find our end option here. With this option, you can either end class, do not end class, or you can end with an exit poll. If we end with an exit poll and students refresh their page, they'll see a notification icon at the top of their app or website. If they click on that, they'll see that the instructor has requested feedback. Once they click on that, they'll see a question of, on a scale of 1 to 5, how well did you understand today's class? And have the option to enter any feedback into this box. Once they submit, they do not have the option to reopen that, so please let them know that they need to fill out completely before submitting. This information will come into you as a CSV file with their name, their email, and their ID, as well as their feedback. So you can reach out to them prior to the next class to address any issues they may have left. Lastly, from the student app, please be aware that students can keep track of their own score and attendance at any time. So even if you're not syncing with your LMS consistently or uploading your scores consistently, students will still be able to see how they're doing in iClicker. Once you're done with your class, you can go back to the iClicker website at iClicker.com, sign in as an instructor and choose the course, and you'll see a list of all the activities that you've done for that day. If you'd like to grade after class, choose the poll that you'd like to grade, find the question that you'd like to grade, and just like during the live session, all you have to do is select on the bar that is either correct or incorrect and edit the scores there. If it's green, that means correct. Anything else will not be included. As you can see, these answers have all been graded, but you will be notified if not, because it will be an empty space here. Looking at anonymous, as we look, it is still anonymous. I still cannot select a correct answer. So again, just as a reminder, it truly is an anonymous question. Back in the class history, if you'd like to delete any activities, simply select Delete from the top right-hand corner and choose the activities you'd like to delete. In our gradebook, we can see a list of our students as well as their points for the days. We have our total points, our performance points, and our participation points. And if we look under details, we can see session by session how a student has done. If you click on the grade for a specific day for a student, you can edit their scores at any time. And our system will track how you've adjusted that score. Once you click Save, you'll see a gray triangle show up in the top of that box to let you know that you did change that score. In the Attendance tab, you can also have the same option to edit a student's activity. You can mark them as present, excused, or absent, and leave a note for yourself as to why you edited that information. If you are synced with your LMS and have activity recorded in iClicker, you can look to our right-hand corner to find sync grades. When you sync grades, you'll have the option, if you're using Roster Grade Sync, to either select all if you're going to use a single combined score, or select just the new columns if you're using our multiple column integration. Again, please note that your syncing options may be different. If you need to remove students at any time, please go back to our People tab, find the student that you need to remove, and click the Remove button at the top. Please note that by looking at our removed filter here, we can go and add students back. If you need any support, please visit our website at iClicker.com/support. This group is available both to instructors and students and can be contacted via email, chat, or phone. We also have our knowledge base. In that knowledge base, you'll be able to find articles by using keywords or key terms. And each of these articles will have images, videos, or click-throughs to help things work a little more smoothly for you. And if you ever need further support, please visit our Support and Help button at the top of iClicker.com to schedule a demo, a training, contact your specialist, look at our support knowledge base, or contact customer support from here. Thank you for joining today, and as always, please let us know how we can ever help make your iClicker experience better. Thank you.